Crucible is here, my fellow gamers, and it's time for us to finally see what Amazon has for us. It's a new generation of the proclaimed high-quality gaming that's now up for our opinions to see if, in fact, they meet the bar they've set for themselves. But is this the game that's worth your time, or has Amazon misspoke as they now start down the path of disappointment? Up next. If you're new to the channel, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. I am slowly growing, but I'm focused on Amazon specific content and gaming moving into the near future. And don't forget to click that bell for notifications and videos. As many gamers, I woke up, I had my coffee and my waffles, I ate, and I sat down to my computer in anticipation for the release of Amazon's first title of the year. The company was super hush-hush about this project until last minute, and I couldn't wait to try it out. As the game loads, you're met with what many of us have come to expect from a free-to-play title such as this. First, you have to pick your character and choose from a selection of 3. You're then moved into a tutorial which is set to teach you the basics of how the game plays. It's short, it's sweet, it gets the job done, with even a little character commentary along the way.
Hear that, Misty? We made the cut!
When you're finished with that, you come to something that looks a little bit familiar in terms of its systems. The game is set up very similar to a Fortnite or Overwatch by design. By Fortnite and other types of games, you guessed it, there's a battle pass with both a free and paid version. Though mostly cosmetic in value, you don't need the battle pass to actually play the game or any of the characters. It's kind of like Overwatch in a sense, but instead of collections based off loot boxes, you unlock various emotes, costumes, and decals, etc. through the battle pass through the in-game shop, using the game's currency called credits. By now, most of us are pretty familiar with the types of systems that are in these types of free-to-play games. You're able to select from one of the 10 heroes you wish to play at the home screen before the game starts. Each character has a set of traits or skills they obtain when they level throughout the battle. Some can be changed into various different types of playstyles, with others being more meaningful and others not being so much. This can be selected in the home screen or right before the match starts. An example of this is like Captain Mendoza. Captain Mendoza level 1 ability. Right when you first start, your rifle shots are 25% faster with 25% less damage fall off. However, before the battle, you can change this to replace it to something like replace your grenades with 3 mini grenades, increasing the cooldown by 4 seconds, or what a lot of people choose, the auto gun bunker, which supplies a turret that you can use, which also provides extra healing. Selecting one of these before the match changes the way you're going to play throughout the match. Although changing is not available on every level, that's how it works. Of the 3 game types, the 4v4, the 2v2, and the AV8, I found myself enjoying the AV8 mode the most in terms of PvP and practicing the different characters. As the match starts, you're launched out of your pod into the area of your choosing, like a battle royale. The maps are filled with NPCs as well as the enemy team and various buffs that show up throughout the map. The mindset in all the matches is a PvP VE, so you're going against other players and you're going against the environment, all in the same game. Though this game is brand new, I feel like there's a lot of positives to be experienced, but I also feel like there's lots of correctable negatives that I'll be covering as well. As I began my first match, I noticed some things right off the bat. The character movement and different characters didn't feel as complete or as fluid as I would have liked. Killing one NPC, I noticed no information was given to the type of damage I was doing to the lackluster red bars above their heads. Although my first encounter with the enemy team was better than expected. Not knowing what you're facing in terms of classes adds a slight element of excitement.
Nade deployed!
I'll melt you down to size!
But sadly, I was killed pretty fast. When you die, you spawn in an offered location of your choosing back on the map. Everyone starts at level 1. You gain an XP called Essence as the match goes on. The XP, from what I can tell, is shared in the games that I played. I found myself leveling up. During times I wasn't even killing NPCs, I was still leveling up. I did mostly play the 8v8 command arcade mode. As you level up, you get stronger by having traits or abilities added to your kit, which are specific to each character and playstyle. Once you start the match, you can't change your character, you're locked in. But you are able, like I said, to change those abilities before you start. You are able to use all your character's abilities at level 1. The purpose of the leveling is to add a style of options or utilities on top of that. The characters are designed in a, well, overall fun sense. I want to say, I don't know if this was intended or not intended, Right off the bat, certain characters reminded me very clearly of other characters from Overwatch. While one specific ability is obviously something that can be expected to be used in other games, I found it odd on certain characters like Captain Mendoza, who to me looks like a solid reflection of Soldier 76. They both have the sprint, they both have rifle gameplay, and they both have the ability to heal themselves or other teammates.
We're all soldiers now. Up from above. Should get your head down.
Neutralized.
But I'll do you one better so you don't think I'm tripping. Take a character like Ajana in comparison to Widow. She has a harpoon gun, but it acts like a sniper rifle in terms of gameplay. She also has a grappling hook, like the Widow, and spider mines, like the Widow.
One kill.
Double.
Ça pique, n'est-ce pas?
And it doesn't really correlate comparing to, say, a character like Tosca, who does have an ability like Tracer. He has the blink ability, but the rest of his kit is very different. So you be the judge. In terms of all the other diversity throughout, it's very diverse, but there's definitely balancing issues that need to be addressed, as some characters do stand out, like Suzanne with her good damage and great mobility, or Summer with her towering inferno should she get the drop on you. Even though the characters aren't broken into roles like tank, heals, or DPS, the playstyles of some can be utilized to shape one of those playstyles in one way or another. Healing is mostly due to med packs, which are picked up throughout the battle and are used in a rather long interruptible cast time. And of course, unless you're, say, Drakthal, who can basically use his med packs uninterrupted. The game is slower than you would probably expect. Some characters feel almost snail-like in nature in terms of mobility and movement. It was one of the things I noticed. It kind of bugged me on certain characters. I found myself looking around and trying to find people to kill often. While there are objectives on the map, I did find myself roaming around. If there wasn't any NPCs around, it took me about 15 to 20 seconds or so before I really found anybody to engage in, assuming that they were close enough and actually wanted to fight and then run away. The overall use of the characters is easy to learn. In terms of fighting other people gameplay-wise, it didn't seem to have too many issues. In fact, I found myself having a lot of fun. Though some characters definitely have a higher skill cap than others, overall, I liked all the characters that I played. While I understand that it's a PvPvE game, I found myself noticing a lackluster amount of PvE game design. Though, in the game tarp Heart of Hive, you're supposed to take on the PvE NPCs along with PvPing the enemy team. The only problem is there's not really a PvE threat for you to deal with per se, other than a large spitting mushroom spewing out flying fighters who could kamikaze toward you for exploding damage. That's pretty much it. I'd like to see actual NPC fighters defending this in a match. That's actual PvE in terms of the elements for that. I found the overall design boring. I was more interested in actually fighting other players, and often what you saw is that the objective would sit there often for a couple minutes untouched because the people would rather fight. Now, I know it's a brand new game, but that's saying something. I feel like there was a big emphasis put on the design gameplay in terms of the outfits and the way the characters look. The uniforms or the character skins are very well done. There's lots of designs. They're much more polished than the generic look that you see on the characters. You have voice lines, decals. You can even change the way your drop pod looks, the emotes. Now, there's not a lot like you would see on something like Overwatch, but they are intricate. And it costs about $19.99 to buy 2,300 credits. Now, you can get higher or lower. There are different packages. However, going back and looking into the store, you'll see stuff like the bundles that are running about 2,500 credits. So that'd be about 20 bucks. The bundles having voice lines and different skins. But if you just wanted to purchase a regular skin, you're looking at around between 500 to 1,000, up to almost 1,600, depending on the type of skin and how it looks. But for the most part, they're pretty well priced. In terms of the skins, I think there's lots of diversity in terms of how the characters look. I think they did a good job on that overall. Before I go into the pros and cons I created for the game, I would like to give my answer to really the only question that matters when it comes to reviews, in my opinion. And that is Crucible fun and is it worth your time? Short answer, yes. It is definitely worth your time. And I'll give my overall opinion at the end of the video. But first, here's a list of the pros and cons, which many of the cons are definitely fixable. All over, I think the game is really fun. There are some things that are holding it back. As I specified earlier, jumping feels incomplete in certain characters, and not being able to see how much damage you're doing is something that needs to be added. It creates a sense of bad in-game feedback. Players don't get a good feeling of how much damage they're doing when they inflict when they're shooting, and so the weapons feel very light. You know, taking damage also does not feel as impactful as you should feel, because there's not really good feedback being given on screen as you die. While there is a map in the game, they really need to add a mini map so you don't have to stop and actually check the map to see where everybody's at. That is only opening up that small section for you to die or forcing you to have to hide, thus creating all these extra types of steps that really isn't needed if you just had a mini map in the game. While I'm not sure why they didn't add this, there's actually no way to actually communicate aside from a few small commands that are actually in the game. There's no way to type, unless you have some outside communication, whereas Discord or something like that, there's no way to actually communicate with your team. So for people that are joining solo, that are not playing with actual friends, this could be a huge disadvantage, because there's no way to actually tell your team where to go, how to flank, what to do, and whatnot. They need to add a way for teammates to actually communicate. If players go AFK, there's currently no system involved to stop players from doing that or kicking them out of the game and bringing someone else in. There's no system at all. So if a player decides that they don't want to be part of the team, they want to go off and do their own thing, guess what? You are left dry to do the objective on your own or with the remaining teammates that you have. This, I feel, is an issue and needs to somehow be addressed. Overall, some characters seem to be well put together and some characters seem to be unfinished. In terms of scope, mostly what I mean by that is some characters just have a very complete toolkit, and other characters, they have like 2 or 3 abilities and they're very open, very susceptible, no mobility, easily killable if caught out in the open, stuff like that. You can tell which characters were created at the beginning and had the love and ingenuity, and the characters that kind of were added towards the end that haven't been fully fleshed out and complete. As I've already stated, it needs better AI, more diversity of AI to create a more in-depth PvE environment. Leveling up those NPCs, stuff like that around the map, they're fine. I don't have a problem with that. They're all over the place. But in terms of the actual objective and what you're supposed to do, those NPCs need to be better designed. The healing does feel very clunky in terms of using the med packs. You have to go and find the med packs, and then there's a cast bar to actually gather that med pack. Some characters can generate them on their own, other characters have to go get them. But when you're in battle with someone, if you're not in a character that can mitigate the damage to use that med pack, any damage whatsoever is going to interrupt the cast bar and you're not going to be able to heal. Thus, it means you're going to have to run away or hide or duck or in some way, shape, or form to heal. And this could be very frustrating if you're caught out in the open or you're trying to fight someone, because what's the point of using it if you can't put yourself in positions to get out of combat or hide to be able to use it. It forces players who are fighting each other to kind of go all in, because if you let up off someone and you allow them to heal and you don't have a med pack, there's a disadvantage. There's so many different situations that can come up. Overall, I think that they need to kind of look at this system a little bit and maybe change it up a little bit. But right now it feels very clunky. Doesn't feel fluid. Overall though, the game has decent acting. In terms of the characters, they seem to all have their individual personalities, which is good. Sometimes they made me laugh. It was kind of cool. It's nice that when you're playing the game, as you level up, the computer will tell you, hey, you've leveled up. You can now have this, or this has been given to you. It gives you a clear indication of what specific skill you've accumulated or how you've upgraded. I thought that was really cool, especially for people that are learning. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, I have my rockets now. Oh, I have my extra damage now. Like, oh, that's great. That's good. I think it's nice how as you're playing, the XP is shared. Now, I don't have a confirmation of this if this is on all game types, but I know this was working in the 8v8 game type that I was playing. In terms of, this is good, because if you're a character, if you're a person that maybe you're not good at shooting, maybe you're more support, maybe, you know, for whatever reason, you can still get XP, you can still get your levels. Almost every game I played, everyone always maxed out in levels as the game progressed, well before the game was over, so that's a good thing. I like that. The character bios is something that you unlock as you unlock stuff about the character. I thought that was pretty cool. They have the extra voice acting of the characters kind of telling you a brief a brief story about what they are, what they're doing, or where they come from, and why they are what they are. So that was really cool. And like I said, I did like the costume designs. They're very well versed. They're decently priced. So that was pretty cool. From what I experienced personally, I know this is going to differ from each person. I didn't experience many bugs. I experienced only one disconnect for the entire 48 hours that I played, and overall had no issues with the world, no issues with my abilities. So that was my experience personally. While I feel this could be a con, not really. The UI could use some work. It's not as interesting, but it's a decent UI. It's easy to learn. It shows you all the information that you need, and it's placed in a certain way where it's, you know, it doesn't take away from what you're trying to focus on in the maps as you play. So it's not really a con. It's just they could spruce it up in terms of how well it looks and make it more vibrant. The game is overall fun to play. I had a good time. I noticed that after game 2, game 3, I wanted to keep playing. I wanted to try out new characters. I found all the characters to be interesting. I found certain character combinations to be interesting. I think the foundation of the game is a good one. I think that adding it to the game market, it definitely doesn't take away from all the stuff that, you know, is already out there. You know, it's not the best game on the planet, you know, but it's not garbage. You know, it's got potential. They need to work on it. And I'm going to address kind of at the end about Amazon, how I feel about it as far as Amazon goes. But in terms of the pros, overall, it's a good game. I had fun playing it. I'm gonna stamp it my approval on that for my personal experience. I'm gonna give it to you straight. I'm gonna give it to you honest. That's how I do it. And so I do think it is worth your time. So what's my overall opinion? Well, I just kind of gave it. I just kind of gave it to you. But what I mean by this is, what's my overall opinion about Amazon? I have to say, if I'm just going to be honest here, I'm going to free talk. I'm not going to be on script here. I'm very disappointed. And I'll tell you why. I'm disappointed because Amazon has set a bar. And as far as I'm concerned, they didn't meet it. It's not a bad game, right? But the bar that I am expecting is the bar that I saw when they said New World is not ready, we're gonna push it. Now, they could have seen this. It is a free game. It could be on their lower totem pole list of importance. We don't know what's going on in the back end. Amazon, their studios could be independent, even though they're both under Amazon. They could have independency, which is high probability that is the case. And they could have been told, hey, you know what? We need to release something out. We need to get some PR out there. We need to whatever. I don't know if they, you know, the game, whatever. So they released the game. The only problem is that, you know, for us that are looking at Amazon, like you said, you pride yourself on quality. This game is not polished. Crucible has not been polished. This would be great if it was a beta release. If you didn't keep it hidden from us and just wait for, you know, a 2-week announcement, hey, our game that you know the title of but nothing else, we're going to release it in 2 weeks and you're going to be able to play it. You should have did it as a beta. That would have been better. This would have been a good open beta. I think most of us can agree. The comments on Steam and other review sites, it's mixed. A lot of people are going to hate on it because they need something to hate on. But for people like me, I'm going to look at it from both sides, because while I am a fan of these types of genres, I want to make sure that I'm not coming off as favoritism towards Amazon or hate or just biasness towards, you know, the gaming community against Amazon. I don't want to be like that. I want to make sure that I'm honest. So I think that Amazon needs to look at this game, or the game studios look at this game, and they need to do these fixes. And I think I can reserve judgment to see what is the next step. We're going to tell you, Mr. Amazon, we're going to tell you what's up. We're going to tell you as the gamers, it was kind of good. Okay, but you need to fix this stuff. Okay, and you fix that, and we're going to see what we can do. So how they respond to that feedback, I think, will give the definitive opinion on whether or not they're going to be meeting the bar. You know, I can let go, you know, starting the race on a misstep. Okay, I can let that go. But how are you going to finish the race? You know, That's what's important here. So these are my cons. I know everyone's gonna have their different opinions, and I really do feel like they have the potential to fix it, to add more. But it is concerning to me in the overall scheme of things. I feel like this is definitely a learning experience, and I hope they're listening, and I hope that they take it to heart and they don't let this go. The free game or not, it's still a game under their company, and they should take pride in it regardless. But what do you guys think? Did you guys enjoy it? Did you play it? You think it's all right? Let me know. I will respond. I promise you. Give me your opinion. Also, let me know your tag information. If you are still going to play, let's form up a team. Let's get this going. I'm still going to check it out. I'm still going to be monitoring this game because I want to see if they're going to be listening, if they're going to be changing things. I will be covering it. I will be keeping you guys well informed. This does set a precedent for New World, because even if they are independently being run, they're still under Amazon. So if you come out with a game and it adds burden to the other games. Not a bad game, needs some work. That's my overall opinion. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Please like and subscribe. Keep supporting your boy. This is D to the E. I'll check you guys in the next video. Peace out.